coming. Obviously, you all find where to come for our High School 101, the first part of our Family Counselor Connection series that we have. My name is Lee Diamantopoulos. I'm one of the counselors, one of our 9 counselors upstairs. This is
Frank Flynn, another one of our 9 counselors upstairs as well.
Yeah.
I'm Tammy Young. I'm also another counselor upstairs.
And we have one of our other. Go ahead.
I'm Erin Miller. I'm new to Shrewsbury, so I just wanted to say hi to everybody and see the presentation too, because I haven't seen it.
So we have coffee here. So if you need a coffee or refill at any time, come on up and help yourself. Hopefully you take away something with you here that how we can best support your students, not only for, this is really designed for freshmen and sophomores parents. So if you have an older child in high school, maybe it's kind of a little bit of review, or maybe pick up on 1 or 2 things. But again, we have several slides to go over, and at any point you can ask questions, but we do have time at the end for questions as well. So we want to make this as interactive as possible. So we have 3 different mornings. Maybe I don't know if the other 2 dates have been announced yet, but if you're looking to plan ahead, obviously we have High School 101 today, and then the course selection process we have in February. We actually start our course selection process for the following year in February that carries into March. So that may feel early, but that's a great time, if you can as well, to come and see how we go about that process with all students. So, and then in April, early April, we have navigating post-secondary options. So all, college is obviously very popular, but some other paths that students and families can investigate as well if that's appropriate for your child with any conversations at home. And we'll obviously go into more detail then. So, yeah.
Okay, so the role of the school counselor. Some basic domains that I think we help support our students with. So academically, assisting our students academically in terms of understanding graduation requirements, course registration process, down the road helping them understand, while also hitting graduation requirements here, thinking about what requirements they also need to hit in terms of helping and assisting with post-secondary planning, right? When you start thinking about that, again, down the road, not necessarily freshman or sophomore year, but junior and senior year, you're taking courses here to hit your requirements, but also in preparation of, if you're looking at post-secondary like college or something like that, making sure that you're meeting all the requirements that a school may be looking for as well. A lot of times, by the time the kids are juniors, they've met a good amount of the graduation requirements, but they are still taking certain classes as seniors again, to have one genuine interest, right? But still to make sure they have a competitive application as well. So again, helping them academically, helping them troubleshoot academic situations. So whether they're struggling in a specific class, letting them know about what resources the schools what resources we have available here within the school, or helping them if they maybe don't necessarily have the best relationship with a teacher too, right? I mean, that's a natural part of life where you're gonna have strong relationships with some people and maybe not the strongest with others, but I think one of the things that we try and help our students learn is like, some things you can't necessarily change. Like a situation is a situation. How you manage that situation is a life skill. So when a lot of them enter high school, 9th or 10th grade, maybe they haven't had any kind of situations like that. So I think we take pride in that, helping them troubleshoot situations like that, offer advice and helping them prepare. Socially, high school is kind of like a roller coaster, right? There's a lot of great things in high school. High school can also be stressful. Many students may encounter situations that maybe they haven't dealt with before, or maybe they're dealing with a situation that hits a little bit differently when they're 15, 16 years old versus if it happened when they were 8 or 9 years old, right? So feelings, how do they manage all of that? Again, tying into the social and emotional piece with that as well. We really try and support our students, right? I think one of the things that I communicate, I think we always do in this meeting as well, we communicate to our students, we're also not mind readers, right? We don't necessarily know if something is going on unless it's, one, obvious that we can see it and someone tells us. So we rely a lot on parent guardians at home. If there's something going on, certainly let us know. I think the beauty of us working with your child is we work with them for all 4 years of high school. So they don't have a different counselor every single year. Whoever your student's counselor is now will be the counselor that they'll be with until they walk out of this building. So it helps out in the long run. By the time that the kids are seniors, we've had 3 years of working with them, right? So we know them pretty well, and we've established relationships with families too. So I rely a lot on families, parents, and guardians letting us know if something's going on so we can check in, right? And then connection to additional supports within the school, we have a ton of supports, right, which is great. But there's a lot of people. I think ultimately what the most important thing is for each kid to feel like they have some kind of a connection to at least one trusted adult, right? We all have our specific roles and who a student will go to with a certain situation. But if they have that one trusted adult, that's the person that's easily that they can open up to. So I think as counselors, we certainly take a lot of pride in that, but there's other people as well. Administration, school psychs, school adjustment counselors, nurses, student support specialists, special education, our BRIGHT program, the social workers, and our school resource officers. But in our field, we are typically the first line, right? So if there is something going on with a student, whether it's a teacher letting us know about it, a student informing us themselves, or a parent or guardian reaching out, I think we typically are the first stop. So if you have questions, concerns about your child, encourage them to come and speak with us. Throughout the year, we meet with our kids are required maybe 3 to 4 times, right? But that doesn't mean, I mean, there are kids who I meet with 3 to 4 times a year, right? Just the times that they have to, but then I've got students who I meet with weekly, right? So there's no right or wrong. We are available whether a student accesses us is another question, right? So again, if you would like us to check in with your student or child at any point, we can certainly do that as well. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and I think along with that is sometimes a freshman student might be a little apprehensive for making an appointment with their counselor and not like, oh, like, so if you're like, well, how do they meet with you? We do have structured time throughout the year where they'll have like part of freshman year is really making, establish that rapport, making connection with their counselor and building that foundation to have, you know, a positive relationship over the 4 years because we'll be with them through their entire high school journey. So if it's an introductory meeting, and definitely during course selection in February and March, we'll be meeting with them. We appreciate students that do reach out to us to make an appointment, which they can do on Schoology or through a simple email or stop by. We try to be as accessible as possible. We're in the hallways a lot in between classes, so sometimes informally be like, hey, it may come up and say hi, introduce themselves, we can figure out a time to meet. So we're just always communicating and being visible and accessible. We will be going into classrooms in the next couple weeks to kind of a similar presentation structured that's designed for students, kind of like who we are and what we do. A lot of our time now, I mean, we do have met with freshmen already in some instances, but a lot of seniors take up our time now as well because they're all applying to college right now. So, but we do make time for freshmen and obviously sophomores and juniors. I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
I think sometimes a freshman right now, or I'll focus on freshmen, maybe, well, why would I be meeting with my counselor right now? Like, doesn't necessarily mean something needs to be wrong, right? I think a lot of times students think that they have to come with us if something's going on. I think as a freshman, like we have the mandatory meet and greets later on in the year, but if a student wanted to just introduce themselves, like that's totally fine as well.
Okay.
I can go over this one.
Sure.
So these are our graduation requirements. So I think this is kind of what I've seen for anyone who's new to Shrewsbury, or just a new freshman. This can kind of be a little confusing because each high school or district can have a different graduation requirement. They also have different things of how they count, like what they count as 1 credit, 2 credits. So for us, what you see here, like 20 credits English, so 1 full year class, such as English, math, science, history, that is worth 5 credits. So 2.5 in semester 1, 2.5 in semester 2. And then we have classes like health and PE that run not every day. Health is only 1 semester, PE runs both semesters. Because it's not every day, it's worth 1.25 credits. And then you have the electives that it only runs one semester, so those could be things like intro to web design, focus on foods, child development. Because they're only one semester, they're worth 2.5 credits. So just whenever you see, like, sometimes this looks a little intimidating, like, wait, I need 20 credits in English. One full year is 5 credits, one semester is 2.5, and then a class that does not meet every day, like gym or health, is 1.25. So for typically what we like to try to do is just give students the max amount of credits that they're able to fit in their schedule. It helps them kind of get to know the classes, get more exposure to the elective offerings on there. So graduation requirements, we have for all 4 years of English. English and PE are both 4-year graduation requirements. 15 credits or 3 years in social science. There are specific classes, I think, is in the next slide. And then we have same thing for math, 3 years or 15 credits in math, 3 years, 15 credits in science. The 10 credits in physical education, it's because each year is 2.5, so over 4 years. 3.75 in health, what that looks like is health 9, 10, and 11th grade. And then 2.5 credits in fine or performing arts. So this is like your art or music credit. If your student is in choir, band, orchestra, if they're taking intro to web design, if they are in any of our art classes like ceramics, our intro, history, rock and roll, that all counts towards the art graduation requirement. We like to try to get students to get that art requirement done as soon as possible, because I have had times where a student is taking their art class credit in 12th grade, and then they realize that they kind of lock themselves out of a full year class because they need to have that art requirement.
Ultimately though, like if there are seniors who, whether they're taking like a world language on top of their core classes and say like a full year engineering or like a project lead the way, which is a double like in the science realm, there are seniors who will take art senior year too, right? So as long as they get it done by the time they graduate, that's all that matters.
And then the last one is 23.75 credits in electives. That's pretty easy to get just because world language is not a graduation requirement. There are some schools, districts and high schools where world language is a 2-year graduation requirement or is required. We don't have that as a graduation requirement. It is a requirement for students who are thinking about applying to colleges, especially the state universities. But world language counts as 5 credits towards the electives. And then after students meet the 15 credits in the social science, math, and science, any additional science class or math class that they take in typically senior year would just be count towards the electives.
I think the next slide is how it's all broken down. So your child is going to the minimum to graduate is 105 credits. That's the total. Many of our students graduate with 120 or more because they're taking at least a little over 30 each year. I would not be overly concerned unless you hear from us. We spend our summer days actually hand checking transcripts and going over that every student's meeting the graduation requirement, and we actually use our meeting with them during course selection to review their transcript, see where they are, do they need that fine and performing arts requirement, how do we plan that together. So obviously you can ask us anytime, but we are on top of that with, again, continually checking your child's transcript and the graduation requirements. So, but this is kind of a different type of visual. I think the only thing I'll add is that for the social sciences, U.S. History 1 in sophomore year and U.S. History 2 in junior year are course-specific graduation requirements. So that's a full year for each level. And U.S. History 2 in junior year could be AP U.S. History that counts as U.S. History 2. So again, every student has their own path as far as combination of classes that they'll take, but this is kind of like a breakdown that you'll see. And again, phys ed kind of gets forgotten a little bit sometimes in the shuffle, but as far as in the realm of graduation, it's just as important as any other class passing. So we're obviously tracking that as well. I think that
And this is in the program of studies.
yes.
So you don't have to memorize it, or you can always look at the program of studies.
And like Mr. Donatopoulos said, like, we want our students to take ownership and have an understanding of where they stand academically, graduation requirements, but ultimately we're checking all of that too.
So our next slide here, I know you guys all see that very clearly. But just in case, we do have a sample transcript here. I don't know if this is the exact
No, it's
same.
not. They're different, but again, it's just another,
Yeah.
it's all the same type of stuff, just a different student.
And that, the transcript that you guys all have or will have, it is a student who, you know, they graduated, so you see all 4 years, like including senior year. The way that we calculate grades and GPAs, because that's a question that comes up. I have students who come up to me and say, I just got a D on a test, is my GPA gonna go down all of a sudden? Like, it's not in real time. The way it is that GPAs are calculated after the semester ends. So what you see in the transcript, semester 1 grade, semester 2 grade. So 9th grade, semester 1, that's when the student gets a GPA. As of right now, all freshmen or any student who just transferred to Shrewsbury, their GPA is the lowest level. It doesn't exist. It's not a 0, but there's no GPA because we don't have anything for them. Once the first semester has ended, then they'll get a GPA. Semester 2, the GPA gets recalculated. It's cumulative, meaning that we add and make an average between all the semesters on there. So once they're in 10th grade, their GPA will include their 9th grade, 11th grade will include like 9th and 10th and so on. The only time where you'll see a quarter grade on a transcript is for seniors who are applying to colleges because they want to see quarter 1, but otherwise you won't ever really see quarter grades on the transcript. You'll get a report card for the quarter, but it just won't be on the transcript.
And I'd say for freshmen, this is all new, right? If they're coming in from Oak, you know, they're used to 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s and all that type of stuff and getting report cards. This all matters, right? I think we stressed that with our freshmen is like everything in high school matters, right? They're all official markings when they're semester grades. Obviously, as the kids progress in junior and senior year, they're looking at like post-secondary options. There's an emphasis kind of on those later years in high school, but nonetheless, everything is on that transcript. So we try and remind the kids that everything matters. Like Mrs. Young had said, the only time a quarter grade is going on a transcript is senior year when the kids are in the application process. So if your child is not off to the best start right now, right at the mid-quarter, they have a whole other half of the mid-quarter. If they don't have a strong quarter 1, they've got a quarter 2 to build up that grade. So it's important for them to know that maybe if they're not off to the best start, they have until the end of January, mid-January when the semester ends.
Yep. Quarter 1 ends on October 30th, I believe. We just had the mid-quarter last week. So again, to Mr. Flynn's point, it's like, all right, well, like whatever's on Power School now is on Power School. You have time to improve or keep the grade where you want.
Yeah, it's a process, right? We work with students who become hyper-fixated on like a singular assignment, like it's all doom and gloom, it's the end of the world because they did poorly on one assignment, right? Like you've got months to build that up. Certainly you can feel unsatisfied and disappointed in an assignment, but like that can't totally derail progress that you've made to date. So rebound from it and understand that you have until mid-January until that grade is finalized.
Looking at the transcript here, just looking at the transcript here, like you can, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, but as again, semester grades with the credits earned is right next to each class. You can see which classes are a full year or a semester. So the top part is all personal information that we blocked out, obviously. And then we are 75 Cypress Ave now, it's not 64 Holden Street. So that was a recent change. But anyways, you can, as again, in the bottom of each grade level, you can see on the bottom left-hand how many, bottom left-hand corner of how many credits they earned for that year. And then in the bottom right-hand corner, I think Mrs. Young went, you have earned credits versus cumulative, and with a cumulative weighted GPA. So again, this student graduated with over 130 credits. Again, 105 is the minimum. We tell students all the time, if you're taking and passing everything, you get, right? So.
And if you're just barely getting to the 105, there have been conversations between the student and none of that would be a surprise at that point.
There was a question here, yes.
Yeah, so I'm wondering, it's outside of the transcript which goes to the college.
Yeah.
Is there something separate which covers things like their attendance and the clubs and extracurriculars and How does
That would be, like, you're talking about in terms of college?
Yeah, like for example, outside the transcript, is there any other documentation that students would get which covers how much
Yeah,
they're involved
so
with other things?
on their common application, there is a section to fill out their activities and awards that, that helps tell their high school story as well. We send, in addition to a transcript, letters of recommendation and a school profile as well. So yes, there are additional documents and information that is sent with the transcript.
And we cover all that at our nuts and bolts night for senior students and parents every fall too.
Okay.
Yep.
But we tell students now, like freshman year does count,
Yep.
right? So like it's there, it's on the transcript. Obviously, there can be trends that colleges look at and whatnot, but every assignment does weigh in equally, or a class, I should say.
Even something like attendance is part of those
No.
insights, is it?
We don't send it.
We don't report attendance. The only time you may see an issue with attendance is, one, it could be something that like a counselor would write, if I had legitimate attendance concerns about a student that for 4 years here, it's been spotty and it's been an issue, it's probably something I'm mentioning in my recommendation, right? If it's really that big of an issue, like if it's a medical type of thing, mental health, I'm not really putting that out there, but if a student just has attendance issues for really no specific reason, yeah, I'm definitely going to mention something like that. And attendance may not pop up here, but if kids go over the 7, right? I think it's 7. If they go over 7 without any real documented reason as to why, they lose credit. So there's a couple ways that could pop up, where it says earned credit. So you could pass a class. Say the student has a B+ in a class, but they've missed a class 12 times. They could lose credit. So instead of the 2.5, it'll show 0. To earn that credit back, there's a couple ways. They go on attendance contact with a grade administrator. If they don't hit whatever requirements their grade administrator is asking for, we have students who have to go to summer school because of missed seat time. Again, those aren't like out of the blue, you just find out about it. Like if there's a real attendance issue, there's conversations throughout the year trying to get that student on track in the building. Ultimately, if they've missed a certain amount of school, they go to summer school.
There's been a real point of emphasis from the state and even in our district is improving our attendance. It's been a concern that we've had in the last few years, so it's really, we pay close attention to that and really put that, again, point of emphasis out with all students that obviously there are reasons if to miss school or being sick or we have a family emergency, but obviously with students, especially if they're driving to school, stopping at Dunkin' Donuts, and maybe if they're late every day, that will catch up with them. So we make sure that they understand that, and teachers do a really good job of taking active plans. The next slide we have is the breakdown of our GPA, grade point average. So that was alluded to already. This is in the parent handbook. So you can see how many points you get for each grade. We do have a weighted GPA, which means you get additional points for the rigor of the class, either be honors or AP level. AP is only offered for juniors and seniors, so freshman year, it's really A level or honors is what students are taking. And this is, as Mrs. Young had said, recalculated at the end of each semester. So only semester grades that you see on the transcript in front of you will be calculated in. So like, it's not, it's like a student gets a bad grade on a test. The GPA doesn't just recalculate that day. We recalculate on final grades. So it might seem weird. I don't have the reason why. I don't know if you guys do. We've been on a 5.0 scale. I've been working here since 2006. It's been on 5.0, I think even long before that. So I know traditionally schools operate on 4.0 scales, but
Some are 4, some are 10.
Yeah.
Colleges get multiple
Right.
GPA scales and convert them to their own. So
and, yeah.
it's not kids aren't at a disadvantage. Because
And we have a school profile that we send along to colleges to help them understand our system on how we operate as a school when it comes to grade. Yes.
What's AP stand for?
Advanced placement, the college board classes.
Yeah.
Just
That's
so-
the highest level class that you could take. Yeah.
So, because one question about like freshmen typically, because they're all like a 1, 2, 3, 4 system at Oak, they're not used to like what's a passing grade in high school. So that D- is like the minimum is a 60.
Yes, and
Yeah, there we go.
And then I would say one thing about this, like the weighted GPAs with like AP honors. I've sometimes had a conversation with students who will tell me, like, oh, I need to take this as an honors or AP level because I need that GPA boost. It kind of balances itself out because if a student is let's say they're in the A level and they're getting a B plus, that's a 3.7. If they go up a level, they are not guaranteed to get that same B plus. They can actually they can stay the same, they can go up, they can go down. But sometimes I have a student say, like, oh, I need to take this in an honors level instead. I have to get that GPA boost, but then they get a B minus in honors, so that's a 3.5. So I wouldn't really focus too much on like, oh, this is worth more points, because it's worth more points because of the amount of work that you have to put into it. So it does have a way of balancing itself out.
And that's why we really value conversation with students and families when it comes time for course selection. So we can't sit here and say, well, freshman year you need to take at least 3 honors classes, or how many AP classes junior and senior year. It really comes down to the combination of classes that will challenge the student, but we want them to be set up for success too. I mean, a big part of freshman year is obviously we're focusing on academics right now, but we want them to have time to join clubs, activities, play sports, have a sense of belonging to the school, and have other experiences that will help them develop into a young adult. So as important as academics are, we want to make sure they're not going home every day and spending 6 hours doing their homework or whatnot. Striking a balance is important, which is why we value what your thoughts are as parents, and then we meet with students again throughout the year, and that's even more in the course selection, but the conversation goes into this and this way, down this path, because of we see a lot of students that are hyper-focused on GPA.
Yeah.
Although important, again, we try to make sure that they're getting, they don't want to be just that rules everything out of their decisions.
Right, and one of the other events that we had is for-course registration, right? Mrs. Antopolis, one of the other events.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, and our process here, like if you did it at Oak, obviously it's a little bit different because you're at a different school doing it. It's very thorough here. We're meeting with the kids one-on-one. The timeline is we're in the classrooms going over the program of studies. They're talking with teachers about courses for next year, recommendations. They then meet with us to kind of go over everything. And like Mr. Donatropoulos said, and Mrs. Young said there, I don't think when I'm meeting with students, I'm never strategically game planning from a GPA perspective, right? I know students kind of want to do that. I think what we kind of echo as a department is you should be taking on what you can realistically take on. Because adding and dropping courses in high school it's very unlikely. There isn't like I'm going to try this out for 2 weeks, let's see how it goes. It doesn't work like that. It's when at the time of registration, when you commit to a schedule, you're committed to it. Unless there is an extenuating circumstance in a clear misplacement, a schedule change may take place. But because a student we see this a lot, I think, junior year with kids, because that's when they have the opportunity to take some of these higher level courses where maybe they're historically a student across the board, but they've taken 2 AP courses, 3 honors courses, and maybe they have a C plus in a class. That's not a misplacement. That's just a challenging class. And I think we prepare students for that junior year can be a little bit different in terms of grades. Some students may be doing exactly what they've always done, but it's trying to help students and work through those challenging times and understanding that just because they're not getting maybe the grade that they wanted or expected, it's not a matter of misplacement. Like it's learning to work through a challenging class and utilizing the supports that are available. But our course placement here really is pretty thorough, and like I said, we really talk with our students and encourage appointments with parents too as well if they have questions about it.
Yep.
So is this a statewide standardized grading rubric, or is it Shrewsbury High specific?
Shrewsbury High specific. I know there's one in a high school somewhere that the passing grade is not 60, is a 65.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I think some of those things. This is very traditional.
Yeah.
Oh,
In a way, I would say more schools are like that. Not every school is, but this is more common than other grading systems.
You certainly don't see the 1 through 4s.
Yes,
The previous slide, the weights when you.
the GPA.
Yeah, this one. Are those weights the same across all the courses? For example, AP calculus versus AP biology?
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
I have a question. So to your point, Mr. Flynn, about the course selection and not to have my son in a challenging class or wrong selection. So is that something that's going to be handled between him and his counselor
Yeah.
and me as a parent? Like
Yeah, I mean,
joint decision?
there's a part where you kind of, I think There's a part where you have to actually like click off in Power School that you agree to the schedule. I think kids, the academics here, depending on the student, become competitive, right? Kids are always kind of comparing themselves to other kids, right? Naturally, right? Sometimes if a student is able to just solely focus on themselves, like that's great, I love that, where they're not comparing themselves to others. So kids may get individual recommendations from teacher because that teacher sees them in that class. Us, as counselors, when we meet them, we're like, that's great you got all those individual recommendations. What does that all look like when you put it all together though, right? What are your commitments outside of school? Like extracurriculars, are you working? What are your responsibilities? So it's trying to factor in everything and can you take this on, right? Are you content with like, and I think the reality too is that's the beauty of us being able to work with students for a number of years. We get a sense of maybe what they can take and what they can't take, or what is the jump that they're looking to take, right? Maybe, because we have students who try to like make up, like say freshman year, they, for whatever reason, weren't placed in honors classes, and they're thinking, well, I need to make up for freshman year, so sophomore year, I'm gonna take 4 honors, like I get the recommendation for 4 honors classes. So like, I think our job as counselors isn't to say you can't take that, but like having them understand, all right, that's great, but you're also jumping up in 4 subject areas. So just getting them to think. I don't think I'm ever trying to get a student to not take a certain schedule. It's just to get them to think about everything.
Yeah, we're going to ask the questions because I think, from what I've seen, many students do struggle with time management. So it's, I mean, I guess we all do in some way, shape, or form, right? And we're always working on that. So having students ask them questions and discuss what their plan is, how they go about their day with their homework, how late are they staying up, like what are their routines? Because like when I sit with them, I'm like, well, listen, I'm not going to sit here and challenge if you don't have, if you have a recommendation, if you can or cannot handle this class, but can you with everything else that you have going on? And I would hate for a student to have to stop a club, activity, or sport because they're having too much homework to do and manage that. Again, coming back to balance. So helping with time management skills, and that's just not for freshmen. With seniors, we're doing that too. Because when it comes to college applications, that's like an AP class in itself with the amount of time you spend on that. So these are conversations we're always having, and want to have students self-reflect on kind of what their year is like, and what would they do the same, what would they do differently, can they take on a little more, are they maxed out? So, and hearing from you during that time is important too. So,
and during that process, all of that going to be covered during the mandatory meets with his counselor, or that should be like the student himself need to reach out, or the parents need to reach out of those?
It could be both of them.
Yeah.
I mean, like, so we cover all that stuff in individual meetings with the student, but then at course registration, I'll still, a parent or guardian will want to meet about it as well. So,
And
yeah,
also-
I mean, we want to make students and families feel confident about the year ahead.
And also, the course recommendations is not going to come as a surprise because the teachers will also be talking to the students. So it's not going to be like a student say, oh, I don't know what to take. It's going to be the teacher is going to say, oh, they might ask the student, what do you want to take next year? If the student says, oh, I want to take, all 9th graders are A-level World Civ, that's our default class for 9th graders. If they say, I want to take US 1 honors, and if the teacher says, you haven't really been doing that well on the tests and quizzes, let's have a conversation. So that will be a conversation students will have with the teachers.
That's awesome.
go ahead.
So, is it a minimum number of honors or EB classes that the kids should take by the end of 4 years to give a value for their application?
Not really a minimum. Students like to say I need to take like at least 5 or whatever for colleges, but it really, in terms of colleges, they want to see growth. So if you have a student that is in all A level or is struggling in 9th grade, they don't expect you to go from D's in 9th grade to all APs in 12th grade. What they want to see is, okay, maybe you got all D's in 9th grade. Did you improve in 10th grade? Oh, now you got all C's and B's. And so there are times where I've had students, still get accepted to colleges and everything. They might not have started as all honors, but they might have ended with having a couple honors, and that's what college looks for is, like, did you grow as a student? Did you mature? on there, and that's also gets reflected in like rec letters as well as like essays that students will write.
Makes sense.
Yes.
So, you said the minimum credits to graduate is 105.
Yep.
Why do we have them, so can the students take less than 33.75 credits a year? Why? Because it's more than 120 credits, right, by the time they graduate?
Yeah, so the minimum amount each year is usually 31.25 to 33.75. Students need to take a full schedule.
Oh, is that a Shrewsbury?
Yes. Yeah.
That's the requirement in order to be like a full-time student. If you go under, then you're technically not a full-time student, so that's why students will have more.
And that final year is 30, so that's okay.
Well, yeah, senior year, there's no health, so it kind of like balances out where like health, if you go back here, you can see health is health 9, health 10, health 11. There is no health 12. So seniors, their credits aren't the exact same as freshman, sophomore, junior year
Okay.
with that. So.
But could they switch it, like if a student decides junior year I'll do 30 and then senior I'll do 33 points and 10 hours?
Junior year, there is a minimum,
Oh,
like
okay.
31. So I will also just say that in terms of, students wanting to take the minimum level of credits, because colleges do get our school profile, they know they can look at our program studies and use this to come up. They're gonna see like, oh, you took the minimum. So it's not gonna destroy the college application chances, but if it says that if it looks like you only originally took the minimum versus another student who took all the maximum, got a lot of exposure to different courses, developed different skills, like sometimes it also just benefits the student to take more courses so they can experience more things. I've had students who will say, oh, I should have taken, I actually had a student who told me one year because she decided she only took the minimum for junior year, and then she actually told me later on, oh, I should have taken more classes, and now I can't take this child development 2 class because I didn't do child development 1, I can't do this fun foods class because I didn't do the prerequisites, so sometimes it does benefit a student to take the full amount for electives if we can handle it, so that way they can have more exposure and then they can try out different subjects and then find out what do they want to do afterwards.
We have music on Fridays, every Friday. So,
I was like, I didn't hear any of that.
so if you want to request next time, see the main office about that. But yeah,
So you said undergrad is not a requirement for college, but it's Shrewsbury?
the other way around. So, type of world language. Yeah. So not a graduation requirement, but it counts as an elective credit. But for many students, it will take at least 2 years or more because many 4-year colleges have a world language requirement to take. Sorry? Some 2, some 3, depends. So that goes into conversation with your counselor. So there's not really just a universal
There are some
policy for that.
There are
but
some kids who gut out 2 years of a world language, like scratch and claw their way through for 2 years. You've got kids who take 3, and you've got kids who excel and take 4 years. I think it becomes, if they've started off at a world language as a freshman, that sophomore year course registration meeting is like, do I continue to pursue this or do I explore other options?
we have honor roll announced every quarter. So semester 1 is obviously quarter 1 and quarter 2. Semester 2 is quarter 3 and quarter 4. But 4 quarters throughout the year, we calculate an honor roll, which is not weighted, meaning like it's just numerical grade in each class. If you have you can see you're 93 or greater, you're on the highest honor roll. 90 or greater, high honors, and honors is 85 or better. What they don't have on here is that you can't have anything below a 77. So, like, extreme example, if you have all 100s and then a 76 in English or any other class, you wouldn't be eligible for the honor roll. So you just need consistency there. So again, numerical average, separate than GPA, which is where we calculate honor roll, and we have 3 tiers of the honor roll. Yes.
Significance of this honor roll.
Motivation.
Yes.
Recognition of students who are excelling. So it's really for that. Just to again recognize the great work that a lot of our students do.
It's something they can report on an application and on a specific, but like something that our seniors would report on an application as well.
Yeah, I've heard something, there's something on the honor society as well. Is it all related? Or
Yeah, that's a,
Those are-
outside is more like a junior, senior thing.
Yeah, and those are they're separate. They're like subject specific.
But is this honor roll something that you announce, or is it on the Power School, or where do you see it?
I don't even know where it gets announced. And we used to
Sometimes it's in like the community advocate in the paper. We don't, that doesn't come out of our office. I know in the past it has been. It is on Power School, and if a student wants us to report it to a college, like, hey, I was on highest honors every quarter, that's something to obviously celebrate and disclose to a college.
It's kind of like an individual accomplishment.
Yeah.
Like I think we got away from like we used to have like printed outside of our office, right?
Yeah.
Years ago, but we got away from that, and I don't know the specific reasons as to why, but like you, it's motivation. I mean, it's a personal motivation. Yes.
Yeah, and speaking of that, I know this is just for freshmen and stuff from orientation, so might be a little advanced of the question. Like, is it the role of the counselor to create correct profiling for the students? Say they're eyeing for like an Ivy school in college. Is it the counselor's role, or someone needs to be hired?
We support the students in like the search process, but like we may give recommendations, but it's not like here are my 12 schools that I think you should be. That's not what we do.
I mean, you create the best possible like profile for.
Oh, you're talking about like their profile, like
profile.
yeah. I mean,
We certainly
create.
will.
I don't know. Create's kind of. I don't know if I would use the word create. We help advise them to reach their maximum potential, and through that, they create their own profile.
Power School, great resource. Sometimes it's easy to come up and check it every day. I know a lot of our students do that. But this is how attendance and grading is kept. You can see here that we're in Q1 right now. These are all links that you can see, like, okay, my student has a 90 in our intro, what's the breakdown of that grade? Click on that, you can see the assignments, that, how they did. Again, this is updated by teachers. Some update it more often than others. So if anything, when it comes to grades, if there is a few, if there's a 0 in there or low grades, or if you're like the grade hasn't changed in a while and the student's like, wow, I did really well on this test, click on the grade, you can see the last time it was updated. So some, with students and their grades, how they're doing, or like if they want to talk about it with a teacher, obviously they have this resource to check, but I think Mr. Flynn alluded to this before, of addressing their teachers in person and asking questions. If the grade hasn't changed in 2 weeks, if they want feedback, how they're doing, just advice on how to succeed in that class, or maybe something they're struggling with, review. Obviously, counselors and teachers are very accessible through email, messaging on Schoology and whatnot. However, talking with their teachers face-to-face and just developing those skills of communication, and maybe just breaking through that barrier of just being intimidated by an adult, or whatever it might be. We work with students with that all the time, or if there's ever a question with their grades and whatnot. Also, what's very important too, like Mr. Flynn mentioned before, attendance. So we take attendance by class, not like for the day. So you can see through the right-hand column here, we have absences and tardies that are tallied throughout the year. So attendance totals, like, it's not like a student has 5 absences. It's really by class. You can see they have 2 in advanced math 1, but then 1 in bioethics. 7 is the magic number, not to go over.
And then too many tardies will also count towards an absence.
4 tardies equals 1 absence. So it's like, well, I'm at class every day, but you're 5 minutes late, or whatever, after the bell, that will catch up to a student after a while, as far as adding up to that magic number of 7 absences. So 4 tardies equals 1 absence. That's broken. You can look in the past 2 weeks. I mean, we can see whenever a student is tardy, absent, or present, obviously, but this is how it's coded. TP is tardy present, TA is tardy absent, DA, dismissed absent. So it's all coded here. We can see throughout the day if a student is in class or not. The days of skipping are not as easy as they used to be. May feel good in the moment, we tell students, but you're gonna get caught.
That's
So,
right. I mean,
we don't have that problem, but again,
with a school of, you know, close to 2,000 kids, like someone may get, in the moment they skip a class and nothing because there's 2,000 kids. At some point, it's all going to come to a crash and burn though.
So are these absent like without excuse, or like if there is a medical or doctor appointment and they give a slip to the teacher, does that still go as absent?
Yeah, so we don't really use excused versus unexcused. We just want students to be accounted for. So if a student's out, like because of they're sick, as long as that you're calling in your child, and if there's a doctor's note if needed, we have that in their file. So we're never going to penalize a student if they're out for a legitimate reason. That obviously goes to the grade administrator's discretion if credit will be taken away. Obviously, they're very understanding. There are legit reasons to miss school, but we got to make sure communication is happening for the reason why with the nurses, the attendance office, school counselor, obviously, if when appropriate. So again, just always communicating is important.
Yeah, because if they're out for one day, that's it, 7 absences are done, right? Because all subjects will have a...
Yeah, but it would just be, like Mr. Downtopo said, it's by class, so it would just be realistically just one
Was
per
it
class.
7 per class?
Yeah, 7 per class,
Oh.
yep.
And we adopted a new waterfall schedule a couple years ago, which means like back in the day, period 1 used to be first class in the day, so some students would have like over 20 tardies in the class. But now, since we rotate the classes, like some days academic support for the student would be the first block of the day, then our intro might be. So it's just, and teachers, I think they like it because they see kids at different times of the day. Sometimes be really chatty after lunch, or you just see students, they're just waking up in the morning, obviously. So there's different dynamics on why we did that. There's a whole subcommittee for that, I think. But anyways, what I'm getting at, it's not like they have the same class to start the day every day. Okay, so Power School. So you want to take Schoology? Or?
Yeah, so Schoology, so this is essentially where all the students have a Schoology account. This is where they see their course assignments. Teachers will post they might post like lessons, homeworks. Students will submit their homework a lot of times on Schoology. So if your student says, oh, what's Schoology? They need to go to Schoology because they have definitely been using it since day one. We also just post announcements, so there's a bunch of different groups. Students will have one group for each of the classes. There's also a Shrewsbury High School students group where announcements will be posted, like clubs, opportunities and whatnot that's open for the whole school or like the vast majority of the grades. And then students are also in a group for their graduating class. So class of 2029 will have their own Schoology group. There will be specific announcements. For example, there was announcements about the spirit rally that we're having. They were looking for students to participate. So there'll be a number of Schoology posts. Students should be checking it at least once a day because there's been many times where I've had a student say like, can I still sign up for this? I'm like, oh, the deadline was 3 weeks ago. I'm like, oh, I don't check my Schoology that often. I'm like, oh, you should. You really should.
Right, between that, students learning to check their emails at least once a day. Again, I don't think a counselor or teacher is just going to solely, well, I emailed the kid and they never responded. Like, I'll email a student if I don't hear from like a day or two, I'll just call them down to my office. But just, especially more so our seniors and our upperclassmen, because once you get out of here, like, that's how you're communicating, right? Like, in terms, if you're looking at college, like, they're reaching out to you. They're not reaching out to parent and guardian once you get to college. They're solely reaching out to the student. But I think even as freshmen, we're encouraging them just getting used to communicating, right? People are going to be reaching out to you. You're going to need to reach out to people. So encouraging to just start looking at that.
I think we have two. This is our last slide before questions, yeah.
So this is SCORE. Some of you might be familiar with Naviance. SCORE is very similar. Essentially, every student gets connected with a SCORE account. They use it to research colleges. Some students will use it to keep a list of colleges they're interested in. Freshmen and sophomores might not use it as much. Juniors and seniors use it a lot more to keep a list of colleges. Seniors use it a lot because we're using it to submit documentation to colleges like transcript, direct letters. So this is something that students will have access to. We, in 9th grade, help give them some time to explore it. We go back to it in a little bit in 10th grade for career explorations. I recommend that students, once they start playing around with it, they can take a little notes on there if they wanted to, because like for me, when I start writing rec letters, I do like to see like if they add anything to their score count. But they will have it. They won't use it too much this year for 9th graders,
Yeah.
but 11th, 12th graders will use it a lot. 10th graders like a little bit more. I think that's the last one.
Questions?
Is the student should have just one assigned counselor? This is the only one that he needs to communicate with, or he can communicate with other counselors?
I mean, there's one assigned, so we get our caseloads assigned by the alphabet, so I have a specific caseload of students, but that's, if a student comes to the school counseling office and, they're looking for me for a simple question, like, how do I get my driver's permit paperwork? If I'm not there and another counselor's there, they don't have to wait.
It's not like, sorry, they're not.
There are some general
tomorrow.
questions.
Yeah,
Yeah, we jump in and help out if necessary. Like if a kid's in crisis comes down and counselor's not there, it's like, yeah, they'll be here tomorrow, just come back.
Yeah.
Hold your crisis. But yeah, if a student comes in and says, I need to talk to, I'm looking for Mr. Flynn, I want to talk about course selection, if they ask me like for my feedback, I'll tell them like, you need to talk to
You
Mr.
need
Flynn.
to, yeah.
But if it's just, how do I get onto Power School? Like, oh, here you go.
Awesome, thank you.
I'm just curious, I mean, with 2,000 kids and 9 of you, that's like 200
Yeah.
right? How do you, like practically get a student that well, to be able to, I mean, of course, there's a lot of information that comes your way to kind of make decisions, but outside of that, just to get to know the student as a person and then help him, how do you really manage that?
I would say so. We have required meetings where students have to meet us and work with us, whether that's the intro meetings, course registration. We certainly encourage students to set up appointments with us as well, so we can get to know them. But I think naturally, there are going to be kids that we know more than others, right? Just because we happen to just be troubleshooting with them more often. That doesn't. It's not necessarily a bad thing, I guess, but I'd say a lot of times for, say, a student who historically kind of is on the right track, knows what they're doing, doesn't feel the need to meet with their counselor for whatever reason. At some point, junior and senior year, when they're starting to think about like getting out of here and next steps, we do start to see those kids a little bit more than maybe freshman and sophomore year. But I mean, if you are ever in a position where you would like us to call your student down for whatever reason, I mean, like I have parents reach out to me and want me to check in with a student for whatever reason, like we certainly do that as well.
I have one, I hope that's going to be my last question. But yesterday I met during one of the soccer practice with one of the parents, his son or his daughter, like in 10th grade now. And he said that he is hiring an external counselor,
yeah.
something. Is that something you recommend or no?
It would be kind of us like, I don't know if it's something we'd recommend. I don't know if I would recommend, I mean, it's up to you. It'd be like, someone else can do our job a little bit better than I wouldn't recommend it. Like,
It's
it's up to you. It's up to you. It's like, I can't do it, so someone else would be better equipped for it. But, I mean, there are people who hire private counselors for it.
I don't think, but again, it comes down to the family and how you want to spend your money, right? Whatever the student and family decides, they're going to have to meet with us.
Yeah.
And, as far as it doesn't change anything from the colleges or what's happening or what's available, that sort of thing. So again, it's just like studying for the SAT or an ACT. Like some kids take an SAT prep class, some need a tutor, some study on their own. Is there additional supports needed for a student and their family through this whole process? It usually comes down to college. In that, sure, we have plenty of resources though. We really do. So I don't want to, put a negative feel out there for a private counselor. I mean, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But again, it'll have to come down to the student family if you feel that you're going to get the return of investment. We really developed a robust department. We just added a career technical educator where we have, with our pathways and internships and even students that are interested in trades, whatnot, we have over 90 admissions counselors coming in this fall to visit with prospective students from all over the country. So score, once students get their score account, parents are gonna love that, to go on their account and look at scattergrams of what students needs for GPA or standardized testing to get into schools. So, I mean, private counselors don't have access to our score accounts. So, I mean, they can sell you what they want, and again, don't want to badmouth that. I'm sure there's good things that can come out. But, I mean, I don't want to steal their thunder. Mr. Flynn and Mrs. Young run an application boot camp in the summer of before senior year for students that want a little extra attention or get a head start on the college application process. And we have admissions counselors and English teachers help with essays and whatnot. So I guess it just comes down to a conversation of how you want to allocate, your money in this investment in your child's future.
Yeah, a lot of times I wonder about the price and if it truly is worth it. Yeah, I know some may charge more than others, and I don't know what they're charging.
Yeah, actually, I do agree. To say or to tell a story about like they can do your job better than you. It's all about like, it does happen to have that conversation with him just yesterday.
Yeah.
It was the first time for me to hear about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
So for me,
it's
are
okay.
we offering something totally different or?
Sometimes the difference is, because I used to work at a private consulting company before I came to Shrewsbury. Like, we meet with students as needed or as a student request, sometimes a family needs someone to meet with a student every week. So sometimes the difference of what the student needs, what the family needs, if there is a very specific, intricate application process, like if they're going for, I've had students work with art consultants because they're going for art portfolio, and they didn't get a chance to do AP art, but they want to work on their art portfolio, they want a curated list. It really depends on the list, the needs of the student and family on there. Not to say that, we're better than them or they're better than us, but sometimes some families, we're not here in the summertime, some students want, or some families want someone to work with the students specifically over the summers as much as possible, once a week, that could be the reason for some families. Others, if a student comes up to me and says, hey, can you review my essay with me? I'm not gonna say, no, I can do that with students, I'm more than happy to do that. We've done, Common App with students, essay reviews, helping them if they need help with a resume or anything like that. So anything that a private consultant would do, we can do. It's just, we are not mind readers, like Mr. Flynn said. We just need a student to say, hey, can you help me look over this?
Actually, you got my point 100%. Like what they are doing versus what you are doing.
Yeah, and I guess it just comes down to what do you prefer, right? There's no right or wrong answer.
I know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just to follow up on that, so even if somebody did have a private counselor, right, would they interact with you or?
Would they interact with us?
Yeah.
I
No,
haven't
I
had
Get to know, figure out
yeah.
more.
I don't even know,
I couldn't even give a name.
yeah.
I'm a private counselor, to be honest with you. No, and it's not like we don't want to. It's just
Okay.
it's just kind of like they do their thing.
Because a lot of times too, we have our procedural process here in the fall with kids, and we'll hear feedback from a student. Again, I don't know what's accurate, what's not accurate, but something that the private counsel said, that's great, but we also have our own process here. So whatever you're hearing outside doesn't necessarily mean it carries over to here as well. And that's not every time, but just I've heard it before.
You had a question?
Yes, I have two questions.
Okay.
So how the parents have access to Schoology, will we also have access to Score?
So no, we don't have parent council score, right?
They can
You
invite
invite
you.
them.
Yeah,
So
but
usually
invite a
students
parent.
invite you,
Yeah.
whether they choose to or not. So
I think the best scenarios is when a parent will sit down with their child and they'll review it together.
Okay.
So I think that's where we see, and it's even communication for the student and their parent. Okay, just going through it together. I see that's where it is the best scenario for students to show their parents, and parents can see. Just go through it together. It helps.
If they invite them, does the parent have access to it?
Yeah.
yeah, I've had
Yeah,
students
I think
invite
so
their
too,
parents.
right? So if their child invites you,
Okay.
but the
But I don't think it's the exact same though.
It
That's
may
the.
not, it may not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Like, I've had a
it's not the same. We don't see
Yeah.
everything they see, but
Yeah.
we see
Right.
something.
Yeah, you can see their college list, you can put in recommendations, things like that.
And the second question was I understand the freshmen are exploring different right now, but at some point they might be confused between 2-3 paths, like which path to go.
Yeah.
So is that something that you will help them, like maybe give them some resources to explore and understand better of that path and make that decision with them?
Yeah, I mean, we meet with the kids who know exactly what they want to do. We have kids who are indifferent, not necessarily sure what they want to do. Maybe they're interested in 2 potential pathways, and you've got kids who have absolutely no idea what they want to do.
Yeah, we don't really ask them like, hey, what do you want to do for the rest of your life, right? It's really like,
It's a loaded question.
we want them to like develop their passion and see what path, what are their options and what can they explore. And someone's gonna be like, I'm all set with that. I try that out, it's not for me, and you go on to something else. So it's really ongoing and developing. So
That is the part where I think, like, if they don't like it, they make up their mind that that's not my path. But if they like it, sometimes they jump to conclusion that this is the way
Yeah.
I want to go. But that's not.
It's
the complete
encouraging kids to
picture.
be open-minded. Like
Yeah.
you can have a path right now, but things change. I mean, people go into college with an intended major and change, right? There's the reality of. I tell this to kids all the time. Whether it's course registration, college majors, there's what something looks like. When we meet with kids for course registration, and they're looking at like, wow, 2 APs, 3 honors, that looks sweet, right? Okay, what does that look like in September, right? It looks cool when it's in Power School when we're registering for it, but like, what's the reality of that, the day-to-day, like week to week? It's not just a one-off, like, you've got to be committed to this, right? And similar to college, right? I tell kids it's great if you have a pathway. You stick to it or be open to change if it's just not what you want to do. Yeah, I think Mr. Down on top of it, it's not like, what do you want to do for the rest of your life? It's like finding out what their strengths are, what their passions are, and how do those line up.
we have time for one more because we got to run to a department meeting. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation. Really great time. A lot of things to learn for people like freshmen, like myself. One question. Some colleges, they have this tool, artificial intelligence based tool, when they have to spend 30 minutes answering maybe questions that don't look absolutely relevant to education. Do you like more bread or butter? Do you prefer water or whatever, sun? And then based on the analysis of these answers, the program gives the recommendation with the answer that you provided. It's better that you're trying to explore something in biology or something in the related more to math. And these type of courses that this college is provided, do you use this type of tools at school, or do you think you can maybe use this type of tools?
Are you like using AI for colleges or like just like for?
The colleges, they have already these tools.
You like a
Interesting.
it's like an interest inventory or a skill like.
They have, like I say, 30 minutes. It takes about 30 minutes. It's probably like maybe a couple 100 questions.
Yeah. We're still navigating AI through our school,
I don't think it's
in
officially
SCORE
our-
though,
yeah.
but in SCORE we do have interest inventories and like SCORE is really college and career where you can explore different careers as well. There's a lot of different resources on there, but there are some personal inventories you can take that can generate reports for you or give you suggestions. I don't know if that's where you're really asking, but we have that in place now. As far as AI goes, I mean, we're
really
looking for
not
our
too-
administration as far as how we utilize that,
No,
if or at all.
I think
Yeah.
now AI has that, but it was there before also. Some people called it aptitude test or some
Oh, yeah.
career counseling
Yeah.
test, where you answer some generic questions about your interest, and then it suggests you this might be the path for you.
Yeah,
Like
we
that.
have that on SCORE.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So based on an inventory and SCORE, it will match you with
Okay.
careers or that you can, that leads into colleges and whatnot.
So
So
based on your grades and all.
yeah, based on
Just like how you answer the question.
How you answer the
How you answer the
questions,
questions.
not necessarily the grades piece of it. I think it leads you to like thinking about specific careers, right? Okay, then let's look into colleges that offer that potential major. Okay, now you've identified the college, then it's like, is this a realistic option at that point? So it starts with that, but it trickles into a bunch of other things.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.